Hi, all curious minds, and welcome to another episode about my shiny objects. So, while I was filming my one of my previous videos, I had to realize the time has passed, and my wife arrived home, and she had an online training next room. So I don't want didn't want to interrupt her. And she also started the washing machine, and this was kind of annoying because if I press the record button, then obviously it would you could hear it. So it was not a pleasant experience. And thanks God, I just was preparing for creating a script or something to work with. And I use Obsidian daily, and I also use a bunch of community plugins. Some of them have an option how you can support their work, some might need help with it. To prepare my presentation, obviously, that I'm trying to talk about, I use Advanced Lights, which is a community plugin, and it enables you to create a very cool looking presentation inside Obsidian while you're just using Markdown notes. And if you know me, I'm a huge fan of open source, but I find hard to find a good project or time to contribute to them. And I'm really ashamed of it. So I didn't have time to finish that short video. I moved the script to my Hugo websites folder, checked how it looks with Tilt, made a commit, made a git commit inside of my VS Code. I uploaded to this script to my MIT licensed blog on GitHub, and I realized, do I really not support or promote open source projects? Really? So this was the moment when I tried to think about what does it mean to contribute to an open source project. For me, who is a developer, more than 10 years of experience in software development, is obviously contributing to the code. I was a lead developer on multiple projects. Some of them were my own, and other was I hired to code. But contribution is not just about coding. If you the GitHub action graph shows other ways how one can help with an open source project. So let's have a look at each one of them. Here you can see this graph, and let's talk about them. So, okay, we are not talking about coding. Coding is quite obvious. There's a source code and you put your stuff in it. But first, let's talk about issues. So at work, I find a bug in a software, in an open source project, or I find a missing feature that could benefit for my organization or me at work, or you. Most of the time, we can open a GitHub issue or an issue in somewhere, and this way we can start a discussion about this feature with the team or other interested parties, and this will increase your issues activity on GitHub. Now let's move on. We have an issue, or we found an interesting project, and there are lots of issues, and the team needs help with it. So, yeah, we can pick an issue and start working on it. For example, trying out the code or start coding. And if we are finished, we can submit this via a pull request to the upstream. And if someone in the project team accepts it, they can merge it to the upstream. Or if you are you choosing to use feature branching on your own project, this and you merge this issue inside of your code, then this also increase your pull request count measurement, but this is another topic. And here's code review. For a long time I thought I only could do code review on projects that I have a role in it. For example, I'm a maintainer or a developer or something like that. But this is not true. If you have time or the competency, you can help maintainers by reviewing pull requests and adding feedback to those pull requests. But something like it looks good to me, or I tried it out and I think this solves the problem, or something like that. Just be positive. Everyone can have a bad day and they're not in the mood, or make a silly mistake like forgetting to, handle an exception or something like that. But constructive criticism can make a huge difference. We all try to participate in a project to make it better, so be positive. But my thinking was going on. So how other ways I can help a project to be more successful? Well, I think obviously support. Many projects can be supported by GitHub sponsors. I will probably create a blog post about it or a video in the future, or with Patreon, buy me a coffee or other ways. If you use a project and they save you a cup of coffees and maybe some here, then that project probably deserves your support, and it feels good if someone respects your work. But if you don't want to pay, there are other ways you can support a project. For example, it's the most easy part. Give the project a star. More star means probably better product or more useful content or something like that. Or you can write a blog post. If you find an interesting project and you really appreciate their work, you can write something good about it, or you can make a video. This way, you may provide a valuable connection for the team. For example, new people who are willing to pay for their service, or an influencer, or anybody who can help the project better, or help them make the project more easy to use. In the past I found so many good projects, but to be honest, most of the time it was a pain to get involved with it. For example, I don't know how to code in C++, but I absolutely love mod security. So it was very hard for me to contribute to the code, but I provided many, I hope, many useful feedback with it. But there are other projects that I absolutely loved, but this was just the one that came into my mind. But I found many projects that were good, but there were no pipelines. So I was thinking about, okay, the developers made some changes, but how they managed to package that software project, or how should I get this project started? Or there were no tests or no test coverage. The project was obviously working, but there were no tests or no test coverage. And I was, okay, if I try to change something, how I'm going to know I haven't broke anything? Or simply I tried to start the project and see with my eyes that how can I interact with it. I'm not talking about APIs like projects where you can you see a Swagger file and you can interact with it. It was like other type of projects that obviously I had to start and see how they interact with each microservices or with the operation system. So it was not clear to me how to boot the project, and as a as a developer, I was not able to figure out okay, what this project looks like when everything is okay. I see there are bugs, but I cannot understand how these bugs appear or why they are appearing in the project. So, like, here you can think about to make this easy is like creating a development environment. Like, if the project should need a make file or a make like file, yeah, it's a train, another train. You can help the team with creating a make file, or if you think this project probably need a full how it's called, full virtualization, yeah, full virtualization, you can contribute with a Vagrant file or trying out in different environments, like different operation system. Or dev containers. That's another good tool to help developers participate in a project more easily. Or for example, you can try to add a Docker Compose where you can simulate how that service can interact with other projects. Or there is Kind. Well, I believe every new project, successful project nowadays, are somehow related to Kubernetes. So Kind is Kubernetes in Docker. So maybe you can help them to set up a kind like stack where they can, try it out and see how it feels like in a Kubernetes like environment. But there are many projects I saw that were missing licensing. Maybe it's or maybe you can discuss with the team or creating this issue like I see you missing a license and I would really like to help you figure out how you would like to license your project. Or they are missing a contribution guide. In the contribution guide, you can set the basics like how are we going to branch this project, or what are our guidelines, or something. These concepts. There are good descriptions about the contribution guide on the GitHub. Maybe I will link it in the description. Or security guidelines. This is a sweet spot for me because if I found a security bug, should I open an issue about it, or how I can talk this about in a discussion with the team. The security guidelines obviously can help to make an open source project more reliable. And yeah, documentation. If you don't know anything about coding or stuff like this, there is the documentation, which almost everybody can contribute to. So I have a long history with documentation and I still don't like it. But probably I could teach, and I will teach a trick or two. So if you find a missing piece in the documentation, like like a tutorial or something, you may think about this is good, but this is not in English or in Hungarian, in Hungarian, or in Russian, in Japanese or Chinese. Translations can help to get a greater audience to a project. You can also contribute examples, tips and tricks you figure out over the years, or fixing typos. I absolutely hate this word typos. Always misspelling it. Or you can write tutorials, wiki page, and so on. And this were the part where I was this was what made me thinking about what is open source and what else can be open source. So documentation is not a typical coding part of the open source project, but it's still important. You can think about user experience here, or it can be a marketing tool as well. But I was thinking, are there similar concepts out there? And yeah, there are. One of my favorite projects are the Awesome projects. Here I list some of them that I found very great. You will be able to get these slides from my website, but the Awesome projects are basically a list of awesome projects tools for get a topic more to be more familiar with. Okay, so these are a list of projects, but here is another list of projects that are free for developers. I found many good projects from this site that helped me during my career to find stuffs that could improve our project or my projects in the past. for example, packaging, how to write tutorials, documentation, and so on. And about how to improve the project, there are also something like how the business can improve. So these are the something like the awesome handbooks. Yeah, this is another awesome, but this is about handbooks. And in handbooks, you can think about employee handbooks, and this can be very useful because it can help mitigate the issues like this. You don't know something about a topic because it's written down somewhere, but we have to write it down. Who made the changes? Why they made the changes? Yeah, it can be open source, even the security part. Um, like okay, we are preparing for the ISO 271 and we made these decisions, and it all can be open source, publicly available, and other companies can benefit from your efforts, and maybe even they can clone how what concepts you introduced to your own company. And if someone says, okay, but this is not for me, and what employee handbooks looks like, my favorite and always bring it up as an example is the GitLab's handbook. Like, this is a great example about handbooks. Here you can see the company section. What is GitLab? What is the history of GitLab? What values, mission, vision, strategy are there? Where is the community? Okay, there are a section for people groups. Like what is the hiring process? All written down. What they are accepting from developers, what the developers can accept from the company. And yeah, like I was saying, they have a complete section about security, marketing materials, social media, sales, finance, product, legal, content of websites. Everything is here, and you can even watch the source code and the commits on the GitLab platform. Probably GitHub also has something similar, but this was the first one of my first experience with handbooks and what can achieve with handbooks. So let's continue. So handbooks is something is written in Markdown and committed to the Git repository. But okay, Markdowns. Can I make, for example, books? An open source book that can be shared on GitHub. And yeah, you can. This is called Gitbooks. You can sign up. You can find here many good tutorials about books available publicly. And I found find out Gitbooks when I tried to learn about Go, and one of my favorite Go books available out there is Learn Go with Tests, and it's also a Git book. What I found it amazing about it is about this particular book is it's not just about coding. Every tutorial there I have seen in the past is like, okay, you install everything on your local machine, you write a function, you create some variables, and okay, but there are no concept about how you can document it, why you want to document it, writing a test. Most of the time, every tutorial have no mention about tests and why they are required. Except this one. It's a very awesome open source book that you can contribute it and download it. So it's amazing. Okay. So what else can be open source? Obviously, a blog. I have a website which is hosted on GitHub, and there you can watch the transcript for this video as well. But so that's the transcript for this video. Sorry, not transcript, just a script that I try to follow. So, can a YouTube video be an open source project? Well, I need to think very hard why it cannot be. So I just published the script on my blog, which I think about making a video about it. This content I hope will be so, and I hope there will be more content on my blog. How I'm making videos, what I'm trying to do, record or something like this. And on it you can find other, my thoughts about the creation of the video and what I'm planning to do next or something similar. I also put it in those blog posts. But thumbnails, video parts of the video, because you can stop the recording and start a new recording afterwards. That also can be shared publicly. Even music, like background music, can be also open source. It's just a matter of licensing. If you want to, so the Creative Commons is licensing is just about this. You can learn more about this licensing in the description. Yeah, it will be in the description as well. But you can learn more about this licensing type. It's for creative people. So, okay, I can make a video, but can a YouTube channel be open source? And why not? We can think about a YouTube channel like an open source project. Every video can be an epic, or whatever you want to say it. It's a massive effort to get it done. Like every script, part of the video, music, after work can be a user story. Why? Like, as a video producer, video creator, I want a script that I can follow. Or as a video editor, I want video to be in multiple parts, or develop some signing here, you can cut the video because I made a mistake. Or music, like as a video product creator, I would like to have a melodic music under my video, and so on, so on. They can even break down to individual tasks, for example, the transcripts. Someone writes it in one language, and you can make a translation to it, or proofreading it, fixing typos and everything like that. And how one can contribute to the channel? Well, for example, you can open an issue. For example, I would really like to hear about this open source project, or I think you need to get a new equipment, and you can create a GitHub issue about this. And all the individual tasks can be organized with agile project management techniques like Kanban or Scrum, or other type of project management techniques. So this was a very long video. So if this video made you think about how you can contribute or help an open source project, consider hitting a like button, or you may think about subscribing to my Shiny Object channel. And if you have other ideas about yeah, probably I should. So yeah, if you have other ideas about how what can be an open source project, you can leave that in the comments below. I will add the links to the project I mentioned in the description below, and yeah, and I also upload the video comments to my blog, and you can visit it as well. And until that, see you next time. Bye.